with has won a championship. So I don't know how every one of his superstar teammates he has played with has won a championship. Kyrie Irving, Dwayne Wade, uh, Anthony Davis. I haven't seen their performances drop. LeBron James is the best player in the world. In those states, probably not now. On this team with Luka, but when he first met up with Kyrie, when he first met up with Dwayne Wade, he's the best player. When he met up with Anthony Davis, he's a better player than them. So they understand that they would have to take a step back and welcome the greatest player of all time and let him do what he thinks is best for the team. But I think LeBron James most times loves to pass the ball and like to get people beat. As a matter of fact, people don't like the standoffish where LeBron tries to make teammates do what they want to do, and then he stands around. They like him to take control of the game. So you do it, you them if you do them if you don't. Because we have seen that in series, LeBron James tries to get teammates going, and they can't get going, and then he has to go. You have seen where he takes too long to take over because he believes in his teammates. So I don't think he takes away from his teammates. There's no way he wins with all of these great teammates if that's the case.
See how you respond to that great point that the ultimate goal is about winning, and all the teammates that LeBron James joined won. How you're saying he affected them negatively?
Remember, these are great. The caliber of players that he has won with Zidane. A lot of these players are MVP caliber level players. Also, some of them would have been Finals MVP. Dwayne Wade would have been the Finals MVP previously. All of those things, I think, you look at the level of the player.
No, I want you to address him. I want you to address him.
I'm not addressing it. I'm saying to you that when LeBron comes into the team, because of his ball dominance, some of these other players, they step down a bit and sacrifice their natural game to fit him into the team, rather than to they adapt to him rather than him adapting to them. And that's just a fact. Like,
wasn't LeBron James?
Wait, Zidane.
Yes.
Wait, Zidane. Dwayne Wade had to tell LeBron it's his team, because LeBron was shying away from duties.
He was adapting to
Dwayne Wade was telling LeBron. That was one of the main reasons people said LeBron had a meltdown in 2011.
He was deferring.
He was bad. It's because he didn't take up the responsibility offensively to carry the team.
He was deferring to Dwayne Wade in 2011
from his team. Not when you see how much he passes the ball. He wouldn't have so much turnovers if that was the case. Like if he was just always for himself, LeBron James wouldn't have so much turnovers.
All right, so the question that I want to ask you to learn, gentlemen, because I think I see where you want to get up. So the question I will ask you to is this: when Luka came to the Lakers, who was orchestrating the offense in majority of the game? Until the last
Luka
two games.
LeBron team is very young.
I'm not asking you until the last two games.
No, Luka was coming off a calf injury. You know what?
No, I'm asking you that.
Allow him to answer, CC. Allow him to answer. You can respond.
When you're coming off of a calf injury, Luka was, as a matter of fact, Luka was orchestrating the offense. If you go back and watch the game, highlights won't tell you this. You know why? Luka could not shoot the ball good because of his leg. You have a calf injury, you're not going to shoot much. So all Luka was do is go to the basket and try to pass the ball to one of the corners or back out on the top. So Luka was orchestrating him and Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is a ball-dominant player also, LeBron James is playing with two ball-dominant players. And they bring in a next ball-dominant guy called Goodwin. So that's not the case. LeBron James don't want to have the duty to be doing what you say he's doing. If you watch the games, it's Luka team right now. Not because of the last two games, but it has been Luka team. When LeBron know that, when Luka was traded to the Lakers, LeBron called Luka and asked him, do you want to be introduced first or last? You know why he asked somebody a question like that? Because he knows that Luka is very important and is the most important player going forward for the Lakers. It's no argument to say that LeBron James is taking nothing away from Luka. That's not true.
All right.
Because Luka game has elevated.
So by the way, I want to let you know that this is a recurring calf injury. So it's not as if he hasn't never had it before.
But hold on, CC. Hold on, CC. I want to respond to Christian's point about only 8 games they have played together. And isn't it unfair to use the 8 games as a reflection of what Luka is with LeBron James? You think that is fair to use 8 games?
I was just pointing out in terms of his form for the 8
All right,
games.
we're going to leave this conversation for another time, my boss. Gentlemen, it was running and we have some other things to discuss. But Christian just thought that was an excellent point that it's only 8 games. You can't use 8 games to determine what they are together. But big up yourself, CC. It was good talking to you once again. And Chris Lynch, I'm going to invite you on more often. This was good stuff from you. All right, so
have a good day, guys. See you, Zidane.
yeah, man, good. So we'll take a break. When we come back, discussions about the referees striking and not coming out for their duties over the weekend for the JPL. We're coming back.
Tate's Pharmacy, Clarendon's super pharmacy, your one-stop solution for all your needs. We've got you covered. From prescription items to household essentials, toys, electronic items, and even an internet cafe. Come fill your prescription and stop at our deli for a scrumptious meal. Visit us at Shop 27 Bargain Village Mall, 35 Main Street, Maple, Clarendon, or call us at 986-2324 or 786-2222. You can WhatsApp your prescription to us at 876-313-8980 for a hassle-free experience. Tate's Pharmacy is a proud sponsor of Clarendon College football team. Thank you for choosing Tate's Pharmacy, Clarendon's super pharmacy.
We may be all over the world, but we're still in this together. Feel, make it easy for you get your money. So if you have to get a thing from your brother or mommy, hey, it's a not instant, it's a MoneyGram. Zoom, check your phone, your money land. VMBS money transfer. CFA faster, easier. Sign up for VMBS direct to bank account transfer today. No matter step out, behind the line, straight in your account, money reach long time. VMBS money transfer.
It's now time for Sports in a Minute, sponsored by Edgechem, Western Sports, Megamart, Spectrum Insurance Brokers, D'Angelo Auto Spares and Accessories Limited, and Fosrich. Jurin Timber says Arsenal can change the narrative of their season if they beat PSV Eindhoven in their Champions League last 16 tie. The Gunners have suffered injuries to several of their key attackers, with Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus ruled out for the remainder of the season, while Bayako Saka and Gabriel Martinelli have hamstring injuries to keep them on the sidelines. Arsenal have failed to score in their last 2 Premier League matches and are falling 13 points behind league leader Liverpool at the top of the Premier League table. However, they were one of the standout sides in the Champions League group phase, finishing third on 19 points, only conceding 3 goals. And that's your Sports Minute. Sports in a Minute was sponsored by Edgechem, changing lives 1 gallon at a time. Western Sports, the sports people. Megamart, best value by far. Spectrum Insurance Brokers, setting the industry standard. D'Angelo Auto Spares and Accessories Limited at 20 Balmoral Avenue, Kingston 10, and shop number 10, 1A Chapelton Road. Call 876-929-9146. And Fosrich.
Listen up, Jamaica. At Fosrich, everybody's getting a solar water heater. $20,000 deposit. 6 months to pay. What a deal. Fosrich Financing.
For financial news and the latest developments in the business community and economy, Financially Speaking is the top choice. Join me, your host Errol Gregory, Mondays and Wednesdays at 12:30 p.m. as we look at current economic issues, provide small business tips, and help you to build your business and portfolio. That's Financially Speaking, sponsored by Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSC Online Trading.
You're listening to The Scoreboard on Jamaica's #1 sports station.
All right, thank you very much, listeners. Welcome back to The Scoreboard. And if you were under a rock all throughout yesterday and today, and you're just listening to a sports program for the first time, then I'm going to tell you that there was no JPL game on yesterday. There were, 90% of the game scheduled, because I think the only one game was scheduled for today. None took place yesterday, and I don't think the one tonight will take place either, with Anik Gardens and Dumbo Holden. Referees withdrew their service. We are now joined by Brian. He's a blogger. Is blogger them call him or a vlogger? Is what I'm calling him, Brian. Good evening.
Good evening, bro. Anything.
Anything at all. You're a YouTube channel. By the way, people, let me just tell you this gentleman, if you want decisive transfer news in relation to the Jamaica Premier League, get on his Instagram page, get on his YouTube channel, and I will give him the opportunity to tell the listeners the name of the page and the name of his YouTube channel so they can join instantaneously. So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so my platform's name is called BAM Sports. BAMSPORTS Sports TV. So it's the same name on Instagram, YouTube, and on TikTok.
All right, wonderful. And I'm telling you, people, a lot of the things you hear me state on this program and the Sports Desk is his platform. I get them from. All right, so he's a very close follower of the JPL. No games yesterday. When did you hear the news? How surprised were you? And what is your understanding that took place yesterday?
All right, so actually I was made aware yesterday morning, like about 9:15 thereabout. I got a message that the games were postponed. Actually, I received that message from a player who messaged me and said if I heard that the games were postponed, and I was like, no, I didn't hear, but I can check on it. So I reached out to a few sources, and they said that, yeah, man, the JFF competitions committee would have informed them at about 9 a.m. that the games were being postponed due to the unavailability of referees. Now, originally when I heard, I thought that it was in relation to a matter because there was a game in the Casafa competition where it had to be called off early because there were no security persons available there, and the referees didn't think it was safe to continue the game. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was for that reason. However, I reached out to a few referees. In fact, a referee reached out to me first to state to me that, hey, they are not turning up the game because they have been owed and they haven't been paid for 3 months. That in itself was quite shocking to me because, you know, there were no whispers of referees not being paid.
Yes.
And for them to just come out now and say they are not going to games, it was quite shocking. However, when I started the conversation with the official, I understand that they have been in constant dialogue with the PFJL as related to their payments, and they just didn't think that their concerns were being addressed in the most respectful and efficient way.
All right. So the figure that I'm hearing, $6 million. You want to break it down for us? It's not only for the referees directly. Why? Because 2 months for referees, 6 million sounds too much. You want to explain the figure for us why it's so much?
Okay, so my understanding is that referees were owed approximately about $8.6 million they were owed. The last time referees were paid was November 25th, 2024. However, so of the $8 million, I think the greatest portion of it has to do with the traveling allowance that is paid to referees. Mm-hmm. This was a little bit new to me because I didn't know that the referees were paid an amount for traveling.
Yes.
But my understanding is that they are paid traveling allowance, and this takes up the bulk of the amount that is owed to them. However, they were paid approximately $2.2 million, I think, on Saturday. So they are saying that there's an outstanding amount of $6 million, $4 million or so that needs to be paid. And the referees have made it clear that they are not going back to the pitch unless they receive their funds or there is some arrangement for them to receive, say.
All right, this is wonderful news from you, Brian. So you're saying the PFJL gave them $2 million on Saturday, trying to get them to officiate the games on Sunday, but referees did not oblige.
Correct. That is my understanding.
Oh, interesting. All right, so where we are at now, because you said you spoke to our referee, contacted you, because there is a full slate of games for Wednesday, this midweek,
and Thursday
as well. Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Where we at now?
Okay, so originally, it was my understanding that referees or the amount that is outstanding there were some talks being put on the table for the federation, which is the JFF, to assist with that payment. I'm not sure where that is right now, because I was told that would have taken place earlier today, which would have allowed the game for this afternoon to be played. However, that game was also postponed for the same reason. And I understand that there are some talks between the PFJL, the referees, and I think the JFF is now involved to try and have this matter resolved so that the game scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday can continue as was originally scheduled.
Hold the line, Brian. Don't move. Interesting stuff here. We take our final break on the scoreboard. We'll come back from it.
Are you interested in working in media? Well, this may very well be your chance. Omega Radio is seeking persons to fill the positions of receptionist, traffic coordinator, accountant, and sales executives. If you think you have the right attitude and the drive to be a part of this team, then WhatsApp or call 876-204-9356 or email us at omegaradio@theomegachurch.com.
Yes, it's tax time. March 17 is the due date for your income tax returns. Self-employed individuals are required to file their annual returns SO4 and estimated return SO4A with income tax, education tax, NHT, and NIS due and payable on one return. Companies are required to file the ITO2, which is the annual return, and the estimated return ITO7. Visit jamaicatax.gov.jm or call 888-TAX-HELP for details. Tax Administration Jamaica, working together to serve you even better.
You're listening to The Scoreboard on Jamaica's #1 sports station.
All right, welcome back to the Scoreboard for the final segment. We're talking to BAM Sports CEO, Brian, talking about the referees withdrawing their service yesterday for the Premier League and for the game today because of money not being paid over to them. All right, Mr. Michael Ricketts was on the afternoon program here at the Sports Desk, and he said the JFF would try and come up with some of the money this afternoon. It seems as if it wasn't put together in time. But from a PFJL standpoint, have you heard anything from that side yet, Brian, as to what went wrong, why the communication broke down and led to the embarrassment of Sunday's action from the referees?
No, I haven't had any official word from any member of the PFJL in that regard. I mean, I would have spoken to persons who are involved in clubs. I mean, the PFJL is an organization made up of the 14 Premier League clubs.
Yes.
At the directorate level. And then, you have the CEO and the chairman who are appointed. But I haven't heard anything official from them as to what could have caused this. But I'll definitely be trying to make some calls and see if I can get some information in that regard.
Indeed. All right. Your thoughts, and I asked Mr. Ricketts this question earlier on today. Who pays the referee and what's the process? He's saying the PFJL, they are the ones responsible for paying the referee, but who pays the referees individually. Are you surprised? And he's saying he was not aware. Are you surprised that 2 months of there was no word on the ground at all that referees are struggling to be compensated for the last couple of months? Are you surprised that Mr. Ricketts was not aware of the situation at all?
That situation is kind of weird if you ask me. Because you have the referee association, and I think you have a referee arm of the JFF as well. So I would suppose if they were having challenges with receiving their payment, that the federation would have been notified. Even if it's unofficial, I think I don't see how it could not have known about it. But the expectation is that the PFJL is responsible for marketing and commercialization of the league. They are the ones that are collecting the revenue from sponsors and stuff, and with the host of sponsors that have been announced, and different meetings with sponsors coming on board and stuff. I don't think it's unreasonable to believe that the JFF would not really think that there's a money issue there in terms of being able to pay referees and officials. But I don't know. Maybe Mr. Ricketts is not too much of a hands-on president, so he's not too in tune with every single thing in that regard. But I mean, I think it's something that he ought to have been aware of.
All right.
I would say.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. Let me ask you again, because you heard from the horse's mouth today that, listen, I am disappointed, Michael Ricketts, that I have a good relationship with referee, the head of the Referees Association. And if you are struggling to get payment, if you are struggling with communication from the PFJL, then you could contact me, and we are the head of football in the entire country. We are responsible. If what Mr. Ricketts is saying is true, are you disappointed with Referees Association as well?
I wouldn't say disappointed, but I would think the normal course of action would be, if you're having a challenge, you would go to the person who is at the top of the chain, which would be the JFF.
Yes.
Because ultimately they are responsible for administrating football in the country. And if he and the referees have a good a relationship, as he said, then I would believe it would have been easy for them to pick up the phone and say, hey, Mr. President, we're having this challenge. For them to have not done that, I think maybe they think it probably would not have gone anywhere. And they are just at a point where they are deciding that this is the action that they were going to take. My understanding also is that they would have written to the PFJL outlining their concerns on multiple occasions, but I think in recent times they would have received a response which they think is unacceptable and probably would have prompted them to this drastic action. So, there are many things that are at play, but I mean, yeah, I understand Mr. Ricketts' disappointment from that perspective.
All right. Usually, Mr. Owen Hill, and he doesn't shy away from doing interviews. Also, the president. Is he the president? Former Jamaica College old boy.
No, he's the chairman.
He's the chairman. But we're not hearing from him. Are you suspicious about not hearing from the chairman?
I am disappointed that the PFJL has not issued a public statement about this, because this is extremely embarrassing. I mean, and this would have really affected the clubs. Yes. I mean, when you have a game on the weekend, clubs put a lot of things in preparation to facilitate games. They invest money to make sure things are in order. And for them to be, and they were only notified at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning that referees are unavailable. Now, if you are the body that is responsible for paying the referees are saying they have not been paid. I believe it is your duty to issue a statement to explain what's going on, or to kind of comfort the other stakeholders, sponsors, players, and fans, and just persons in general who have an interest in the football. And for them, no game was played on Sunday, no game will be played today. Uncertainty lies around whether or not games will be played on Wednesday and Thursday, and nothing has been forthcoming from them. I think that is unacceptable.
All right. Once upon a time, it was clubs get the money, send the money to the JFF, and the JFF pays the money over to the referees body. It appears to me that has changed, where the PFJL, they pay the money directly to the referees body. Do you think we should go back to the JFF being responsible, since they are the head of football in the country, to pay the referees directly? You think we should go back to that?
Okay, so what entails going on is the PFJL, they do what is called something like a collective bargaining arrangement in terms of sponsors and stuff.
Yes.
And they try to bring on board. So when the sponsors pay money, that money goes to the PFJL, and then they, I guess, less their expenses and pays our monies to the clubs in terms of a profit sharing revenue scheme type of arrangement.
Yes.
So, I mean, one of their expenses would have been officials and those stuff, which they would have paid our money to the referee association and the other officials. If it is that you are to go back to the idea where the sponsors pay the money to the club, and then the club pay the money to the JFF for them to pay officials, then there will be no need for the PFJ.
Great point. I see your point. All right, so that's that. Great breakdown for us, great analysis. But let's move quickly to some, because I don't want them to believe that you're only that sort of guest. We're going to make you go into some analysis now. You have watched the Premier League all season. I want you to quickly tell me the two teams that you think will get relegated come the end of the season, based on what you have seen thus far, and why.
Okay, so as it is now, I think the relegation battle lies between 4 teams. Really and truly, any two of Humble Lion, who is rooted at the foot of the table, here Phoenix, who is in 13th, Capital Maroons, who is in 12th, and I think More Lions, who is in 11th. Any two of those teams will be relegated. I mean, for now, I would say the 3 front runners would be the 2 teams that are in the relegation, along with More Lions United. And the reason why I say More Lions United is, when you look at the goals that have been conceded, I mean, More Lions, Humble Lion, and Vera have conceded the most goals. I think Vera have conceded 50 goals or 52 goals, and More Lions is close with like 49 or 48. I think the only difference between More Lions and Vera is that More Lions would have scored more goals, so they have a little better of a goal difference. But I mean, if you are consistently conceding the most goals in the league, it really tells a story that defensively you are very poor, and you are also not one of the highest scoring teams, which means you are not going to be able to score goals against good opposition, and that's almost like a recipe for disaster. So I think the relegation fight is going to be between those 4 teams, and I think 2 of them will go down at the end of this season.
No, pick 2, man. Give us a 2 that you think.
I would pick Humble Lions. I mean, they are the prime favorites at this point, given that the 3 points for them is of great importance, and having only won 3 games out of 26.
Wow!
It tells you that for them to win maybe 7 or 8 games out of 13 is going to be really, really next to impossible. So I think Humble Lions will be relegated this season, and I'm not sure who's going to be the other team.
Yeah, it's tough, listeners. I'm looking at it, and you just realize that Tyreek McGee's at there. They have brought in a couple of players. They have so much talent there. You wonder if really.
Yeah, you wonder. Even though the odds are really tough against Veer, I mean, they have players, good quality players there, and I'm just a little bit unsure at this point. Maybe after another 2 or 3 rounds, I could definitely see it more clearer. But I think at this point, it's going to be difficult for Humble Lions to escape relegation this season. I would be really surprised if they manage to avoid relegation this season.
Yeah, Humble Lions look like them gone for true. But I saw Capital Maroons against even though it was a weekend. I saw No. Actually, it was at Mount Pleasant. It was a weak Mount Pleasant team, but still a strong one, and they looked really good. So with them, I'm not sure either. So I'm thinking.
I think Capital is a little bit like there's a era of uncertainty, because on some days
yes,
it looks like a really good football team that can play
yes
and can compete with the best teams in the league, and on the next day they just find themselves losing games. So I think that's a thing for me with them.
Yeah, I'm thinking More Lions. I honestly think More Lions will be dragged down and go with Humble Lions. But don't beholden 6, 7, 8 weeks ago was right in the mix. They were struggling badly. They are now only 2 points outside. Well, no, not 2 points, because Watos won their last game and get 37. They are 5 points outside of a top 6 spot. What did they do?
Yeah, I think okay. So I think for Dumbeholden, all right. So Dumbeholden had a very poor start to the season and lots of coaching changes.
Yes.
Which can really unsettle a unit. But I think Dumbeholden have good players. They have good players who have been there at the club for a while. But I think one of the main things that have worked into Dumbeholden's advantage is when they play at home. Whenever Dumbeholden play at home at their home pitch,
yes.
For one, the pitch is very small. So most teams, they struggle to adapt to the width and the size of the pitch. And they have a really, really solid fan base that really pushes them over the edge when they're at home. And I think Harold Thomas coming back as a coach who has been with them for many years, understands most of these players, and actually brought back some of the players that were there when he led them to the finals in 2022. These players are his players. He knows how to get the best out of them. And I think they have really come back in and working really hard. And I think he's just been able to get them to play some good football. And like I said, whenever they play at home, it's always going to be difficult to beat them. I mean, if you want an example of that, the top 2 teams in the Premier League this season, Mount Pleasant and Mobe, have both lost when they played Dumbeholden at the Dumbeholden Sports Complex. I think it's only Cavalier and Arnett who managed to get a win there. So that shows you how prolific they are at home. And I think that also increases their chances of pushing for a top 6 place at this point.
All right, Brian. Wonderful. Hopefully we talk to you again. Great analysis from the Premier League. You're really truly a JPL expert, my boss, in this country. Big up yourself and thanks for joining me. All right, that was Brian, and he's the CEO and founder of BAM Sports. I'm telling you, people, join his Instagram page, join his TikTok, whichever, or the YouTube, whichever platform. You'll get great updates on what is happening in local football in Jamaica. Even if the Cassava leagues, you can get updates as well. All right, thanks for CC and Christine for coming on also to discuss some NBA basketball. That is it for the program. I'm Christopher Zidane Matthews. Join Davey and Nugent tomorrow for more Scoreboard. I will be back on Thursday because Wednesday is a holiday. Until then, have yourselves a pleasant evening.
You've just heard the Scoreboard. Remember to tune